So I've pressed Control Home. I'm still on the 2015 orders by customer, and what I want to do is use this sheet to illustrate doing multiple worksheets. And let's click on the plus down here at the bottom, and that creates a new sheet, and you can see everything is gone. If I click on the orders by customer sheet, it's back, so you can go back and forth that way. Now I could click plus again to make another one, but a shortcut key, if you want to have several, if you want to quickly make with the keyboard a spreadsheet, is to hold the Alt and the Shift key at the same time. Alt and Shift, and press F1. So I just held Alt and Shift with my left hand and pressed F1. Let me do it several times. Alt, Shift, 2, 3, 4. So sometimes it's quicker if you know the keyboard shortcut. Now, how are you going to remember the keyboard shortcut? There's going to be a very large spreadsheet available with this course. You can download it. We're actually going to use it and format it and find out how to find things on it. And it's got a list of all the keyboard shortcuts that we're going to use, plus many, many more. So you'll get really good with using those shortcuts by the end of the course. Now, if I want to rename, say, Sheet 1, if I wanted to put order totals here, I just double-clicked on Sheet 1, and I can now type the name, order totals. Same thing with Sheet 7. Order averages. Let's put AVGS. So it's very easy to rename. Another way to do it is to use what's called a shortcut menu. And we'll do this throughout the course. We saw the parts of the screen, but here's a menu that's not on the screen. You access the shortcut menu by right-clicking on something. Let me right-click. I'll click with the right-hand mouse button on an individual cell, and you'll see that a menu pops up. Let me right-click somewhere on the ribbon. You see what's going on? I'm going to right-click on this number 4, the number 4 row, or on this G here for the column. It depends on what you right-click on, what menu you get. It's context sensitive. So if I right-click on Sheet 6 down here on the bottom, I'm going to get the shortcut menu for a sheet tab. And notice I can click Rename. And we'll just call this Customer List. And I'll press Enter to lock it in. Now if I wanted to get rid of Sheet 5, I can right-click on Sheet 5, and you'll notice Delete is one of the selections. So I'll click on Delete, and it removes Sheet 5. Let's say I decided that's all the sheets I need, and I wanted to dump these 3 guys here. You could right-click and delete on each one, and that's what most people would do. But try this. I've got Sheet 4 selected. If you've got a few more sheets, I want you to hold the Shift key with your left hand, and then click on Sheet 2, and it highlights all 3 sheets. You've done what's called a grouping of sheets. And now if I right-click, I can select Delete, and it gets rid of all 3 of them at the same time. Now if I wanted to reorder these, if I wanted Customer List to be the second sheet, I can click and hold on Customer List, and I get a little triangle there on the top left corner of the tab. I can drag, and notice the triangle's moving. So I'll let go right here, and it becomes the second sheet. If I wanted Order Total to be the last sheet, I could just drag and click and drag and move it. So that's the basics of working with multiple sheets. One thing I did want to mention also, if I hold Shift again and click on Customer List, so I group these 3 sheets, you can also right-click and get the shortcut menu, and notice this selection becomes Ungroup Sheets because it knows I have multiple selected. So I can click on that, and that will ungroup the sheets. Also, if I hold Shift again and click, so these are selected, I could also just click on another sheet to ungroup them. One more thing on multiple worksheets, and that's these little triangles. Do you notice these grayed out triangles down here? They're not available right now, but if I held Alt and Shift and pressed F1 several times, making several more worksheets, watch what happens as soon as I get too many to see all at once. Do you notice that right pointing triangle just became available? I'll put in a few more just for good measure. That lets you navigate through all of the worksheets on the tabs when there's too many to show at one time. Now, I find the little message that pops up pretty confusing. I can click on the arrow and I move one sheet at a time. I can click on the left arrow going backwards. But here's what the little message is trying to tell you. What it's telling you is if you hold Control and then click on the arrow here, the left or right arrow, it'll go all the way to the end. So if I click on that, it shows the first sheet. If I hold Control and click on the right pointing triangle, it scrolls until I can see the last sheet. Then the other part of the message, see all sheets. Notice it says right click, see all sheets. That means if I right click right here on either one of these buttons, I get a list of all the sheets, and I can select one and then click OK, and it'll take me right to that sheet and select it. So it takes a little getting used to, but remember these triangles when you have too many sheets. I'm going to click on sheet 11 and go all the way to the beginning, group these sheets holding shift and clicking, and then I'll do right click and delete them all. So that's the basics of multiple sheets. What we'll do is come back and have another lecture on sheets using content, and you'll see how to use formulas and things like that with multiple sheets, and how you actually can make a copy of a sheet and move them in between workbooks. But that's enough for now to get you started. In the next lecture, we'll go through some details on how the ribbon works and some shortcut keys to use on the ribbons. So I'll see you in the next lecture.